In these businesses, what can you say have been some challenges that you've faced? I know in every business there are ups and downs,
Yes.
and yeah, maybe you can highlight the major ones that you've come across with and how you managed to actually resolve them and move on.
Sharon, some of our biggest challenge really also brings or present opportunities would be like when we want to really grow our asset base, when we want to increase our footprint, and when we want to extend maybe coverage. And it's one thing to have a tower that's standing, but when you need to construct a tower, it's a huge value chain from end to end, from site acquisition to environmental clearance. And then you get into the design and manufacturing of the actual tower materials, to commissioning, having contractors on site, to actually going live and commissioning the site fully, to having clients deploy, to connecting that site with power and grid, and to making sure that it's safe in terms of aviation standard, aircraft warning lights. In that whole supply chain, the biggest challenge and bottleneck has been the environmental clearance and just site acquisitions itself, because we, of the 301 towers that we have countrywide, they're in vast geography. Each municipality may have its own rules, and each structure, even though traditionally we've been building ladders, you may have a guide mast. Each of them may have different requirements in terms of compliance. So now the environmental aspect does generally take longer than we would like. And I think this afternoon I was at my line ministry just to also echo the same challenges, to say we'd really love to grow the asset base. We would really like to enable Namibians to access connectivity. However, we would also appreciate that the environmental aspect and the site acquisition, municipal approvals, municipalities are not meeting because they don't have budgets to meet. Sometimes landlords to just enable us to get that leaseholds are not meeting for months. So that has resulted in frustrating the process. Sometimes your budget and your KPIs for those particular sites or new towers, or greenfield, like to call them, may not be realized simply because of a very external factor, like environmental clearance or site acquisition. So that has been really our biggest bottleneck.
Okay. Well, having those, and what can you say are the milestones that you've attained so far? And maybe if you just look at the past 3 years, making a comparison of the past 3 years, what have you really actually can highlight and say, oh yeah, this was a huge breakthrough?
Oh, I like to answer the question because we came from a history where we had a negative financial outlook, even though obviously business is also about impact and not just profit and loss. As Powercom, we really came from a tough history, and I think nobody, even ourselves, could navigate the complexity of coming from a legacy where, for the longest time, customers were used to, say, a one mobile operator. So for Powercom to enter the market, they already had a really big challenge gaining market share. So when we changed the business model to become an ICT infrastructure provider, we had a backlog of one, clients in the pipeline who needed to get on the towers. And we cleared all that. Fast forward, every single application that we had in the pipeline was cleared. And we're seeing the movements and growth in terms of new tenancy. But the biggest one for us is when we declared dividends for the first time in the history of Powercom, which was 8.1 million to our shareholder Telecom Namibia, which then goes to Namibia Postal Holding and ultimately to government, which obviously then extend public service. So for us, that was really, really remarkable. But also when we moved from a borrower, who in a negative outlook, begging for overdraft, to being an investor, in terms of money market fund, where you actually have excess capital and you're able to finance all your operations. And that we were able to do in a span of 3 years, from a negative outlook to a very positive financial position. And that's why you see now tenders. Before that, name Powercom, everybody asked, what is Powercom? But essentially they started recognizing that from the tenders that we were advertising. So we were adding value to the economy through the fact that we've now started to perform positively, and we can use our bottom line or proceeds to then invest into new opportunities like maintaining. For the first time, we managed to launch a proactive maintenance, whereas we actually go and study the structure and understand if there's any risk and whether we need to strengthen or retalk it or repaint it. Whereas before that, what we used to do is just to wait, there's a problem, because we didn't have resources to do that. So for now, we're doing that. And I think one also, having been able to get environmental clearance on the 300 existing tower, which was also never done before. There is enough that I can share, but also maybe fundamentally moving from leasing land from private hands to communal land and working with land boards across the country. So those are some of the things that we're very proud of. Even though there remain room for growth, we still need to increase our occupancy ratio in terms of the existing towers. We still have like 49% of the tower space that need to be occupied optimally. So those are some of the opportunities that we still need to leverage on. But so far, that's what I could reflect on.
Wow, that's great. Actually, remarkable. Looking at the future for Powercom, maybe in the next maybe do you have a 5-year plan? In the next 5 years, where do you see Powercom at? What are the things that you're saying by in the next 5 years we should have attained this and this and that? I know there could be many, but maybe just highlight the the key ones. Yeah.
Well, for us, we want to be the dedicated infrastructure provider in the market. And by that, we mean that we must drive market consolidations of the infrastructure, the telecommunication towers that are in the market. As you were, currently, operators are self-providing. Some of them are building for themselves. They should not be building for themselves, because Powercom's core mandate is to provide ICT infrastructure, and we want to be at the frontier of that. So in the next 5 years, we want to have consolidated infrastructures that are within the NBC portfolio and infrastructure that are within the MTC portfolio into the one portfolio, where we serve as a national infrastructure company. That's one. The second one, we would like to reach optimum tenancy ratio. Each of the towers must be able to be self-sustaining, meaning it should be able to maintain itself, and it should be profitable enough to be able to yield returns for us to invest in new ones. So no tower should have a single tenant. All the towers should reach the optimum tenancy or occupation. At least 80% of the tower must be occupied fully, which is then 4 tenants. That's 2. The third one, it's really around deepening our insight on co-location, what we call tower leasing model. It's a new model. It has its own pricing dynamics. So as Powercom being the first company in Namibia to purely dedicate our service to that as a core business, is to realize that we also need to continue learning about the industry, how it's evolving globally and regionally, so that we could really grow this company and create more value for the economy. Because we believe there's more potential, provided that we really leverage and harness that. And the fourth one, and hopefully last, is really diversifying our offering and our product diversity beyond the structure. Because there's a huge drive around being environmental friendly. There's a huge drive around going green. As Powercom, we want to position ourselves at the frontier of that by making sure that where we don't need a tower, we can get on that elevated building. We already own a lot of rooftops around cities. If there is, like with the 5G arrival, we're preparing ourselves to make sure that the dynamic requirement of clients' deployments are not necessarily just the one of the traditional way of putting up a steel structure. But if we need to get on a municipal pole and put antenna and strengthen it and provide light for the city, we will. So diversification of revenue stream and product offering, from rooftops to water towers to lampposts. There are many ways to which we can offer coverage. And recently, we just closed our first partnership with a sister company, Inceptus Holding, which is a subsidiary of UNA, which is then enabling us to also offer our clients space on the university campuses.
Oh.
So as opposed to putting up a tower everywhere that duplicates infrastructure, we say maybe here there's a nice, well-positioned tall building. We can get our clients there and still get the very quality of service, the strength of coverage, without necessarily, doing harm to the environment. So those are some of the initiatives around diversifications. That is a sort of a revenue sharing model, and we would like to leverage on that with other partners in the market, and we're exploring that.
Oh, wow. That's really awesome. And I like the fact that you are one of the most, I'm not trying to flatter you, but you're really one of the most influential, impactful CEO I have seen here in Namibia. And I would like to know, and you being a woman, for you're competing, rubbing off shoulders in this patriotic kind of business. How did you manage? Like, what is your secret to your success? What defines your success? And I know that most women, like really in the region, we are trying to get there, but there are a lot of obstacles that we've been facing. And I'm sure some women out there who really want to be in managerial positions and leadership positions, in influential positions, would want to learn more from you also. So, well, maybe if you can share with us the challenges that you sometimes face, how you manage to overcome them and remain bold.
Oh, thank you so much, Sharon, for the compliments and kind words. I really appreciate it. I still think I have a long way to go. But as a woman, I think paving ways and, charting, or rather exploring uncharted territory, it does come as an honor and a privilege to be given an opportunity. And I think, that's by God's grace, for one. Um, I think this has always been my industry, communications. I'm very passionate about communication technology. How can we harness communication to enable mass communications at massive scale, but people to really leverage on those opportunities that the web space, that the digital space offers, from jobs to businesses to individuals to families. So for me, I would say one, that it's passion. I think you really have to try and find that key niche that is really making your DNA tick, that one thing that makes you tick. And I've been in this industry literally all my life. It is perhaps I've moved from radio communication to broadcasting communications to telecommunications. At the end is communication, and that's really my calling. So it obviously takes a lot of luck also, and maybe blessings to be able to really see that this is my path. But this is a place where I feel fully fulfilled. Two, I believe a leader should also be able to challenge the status quo. It's not very easy to make your voice heard in like you mentioned, a more dominated industry, but the tenacity that you gain through experiences, you gain through making mistakes, you gain through learning on the job, you gain through falling and rising. So there is a lot of skills that you would pick up by just being present and aiming high and being ambitious and never putting a limit or boxes. I don't see myself as a woman in the boardroom. I see myself as a leader who's able to create value like any of my callers. And it's I think once you go into the boardroom knowing that you're there because you can make a contribution and you are confident that you do have the skills and you're going to continue to learn, and surrounding yourself with mentors and other people who are already doing exceptionally well and higher than where you want to be, then I think you can only learn. But I think being able to learn, being able to explore, not fearing to fail, and being able to pick ourselves up really fast. And they say fail fast and really move on. So I could share a lot, but really I think key is passion. Key is also commitment, the work ethic. I know we mothers, I know we have other priorities, but I think putting our work first and making sure that we create value for our employers and the companies that are paying our salaries is key. And I'm lucky to have worked with very strong women who really trained me and who put me out there and say, you can do it. So sometimes you also need to believe in yourself, but where you're having doubt, it's to look at the women that are doing exceptionally well, and also men who are very supportive of women who are thriving. It's just not, it just doesn't take one community or one gender. seeing that I've benefited greatly from male mentors and male colleagues who just want to also see women thrive because they have sisters, they have daughters, and they believe that the economy can only progress if we support our sisters and bring them on board. But we women ourselves need to first claim that place, and we need to show up even when we don't feel like, and we need to make our voice heard and just believe that there is nothing that we cannot. We probably more multi-talent, multi-dimensional. So it has been a journey, and I'm still growing as a leader, and every day I'm learning something new. And I'm going to continue to encourage others to keep their mind open and to just knock on doors where you need help, where you feel like, I don't know this aspect, I don't know, maybe what they like to call in finance, derivatives, but you're seeing it in your balance sheet. It's to go to somebody who knows derivatives and try and tell you how that impacts your balance sheet. You don't necessarily have to be the expert of every KPI or every line item in the balance sheet or in the income statement or in the cash flow, but having people that that can help you, or trusting your own team to help you, to teach you, and to be open to being vulnerable and saying, I don't know, does enable you to grow. But also, I think, lastly, just believing in others and enabling them to get opportunity for growth and opening doors for the women behind us, and saying that I was also just a diamond in the rough when I started off my career, and somebody held my hand and say, you have potential, you can do it, let me show you how, let me give you an opportunity, let me train you, and I'm committed to doing that for young women behind me as well.
Wow, wow, wow! I'm sure, and I'm so 100% positive that some woman out there is being helped by this information.